So yeah, that's really worth knowing. And so one of the things that Jean Piaget pointed out, and because he's a very interesting psychologist, and he's never taught properly, because most of these great thinkers were very strange people, and the strangeness gets edited out of their stories. And it's really too bad, because they're way more interesting when you know how strange they were. And so Piaget was obsessed with the disjunction between religion and science. And his goal as a thinker was to reconcile the two. And so to some degree, he was looking for a biological basis of morality. That might be one way of thinking about it, or at least to reconcile the idea of a biological substrate with an emergent morality. And one of the things he said is, okay, imagine two systems. All right, so both systems are moving towards a goal, any old arbitrary goal. And in one system, the people within it are acting under compulsion. And in the other system, the people within it are acting voluntarily. Said the people who are acting voluntarily will defeat the people acting under compulsion, because in order to use compulsion, you have to spend a fair bit of time and energy on force. And so it makes you inefficient. Whereas if everybody is together on the project, then you don't have to spend any time on compulsion, because people are compelling themselves. And so that's what he called an equilibrated state. So an equilibrated state was, well, we sit down and we have a negotiation. It's a real negotiation, so it has to be honest. And we say, okay, well, what the hell are we doing? And everyone hashes that out, and we decide what we're doing. And then we decide how that would be good for all of us, but each of us singularly as well. So if you got your family put together properly, then the whole family moves together, but everybody inside moves ahead as well. And so then everybody's pushing in the same, you know how it is in a negotiation. You actually want your interests to align with the interests of the other person, because then you don't have to worry about the integrity of the deal. It's like everybody has reasons to keep it thriving. And the idea that capitalism somehow is predicated on the tyranny of the people at the pinnacle, that happens when it gets corrupt. But it doesn't happen at all when it's working properly, because deals that aren't based on mutual self-interest and group interest simultaneously have to be enforced, usually with lawyers, and then you're done, right? You're done at that point.
That's actually incredible. So when I work with companies, when I was working with a company, this is a couple of years ago, maybe even 3 or 4 years ago, and they were talking about how they needed to hold their salespeople accountable, and that's what they needed to do, and they needed more accountability, and the sales leadership underneath them needed to hold all their frontline sales leaders accountable for everything, and follow these rules and make these numbers of calls and do these follow-up things and send the follow-up emails, and they needed to get this accountability thing going. And this was when I heard this guy saying this, it was the first time I said, because I'd heard this a lot, this word accountability in leadership. You hear, oh, well, we just need better accountability. And it's a trick, because you think about it and you say to yourself, well, if I'm in charge of you guys and I'm going to hold you accountable to make sure you do everything you're supposed to do, well, then we will successfully do what it is you will do, because I held you accountable. I made you do it. The problem is, in any organization, there's too many people to hold everyone accountable to everything that they're supposed to be doing. So it just doesn't work. And so you could take one group, and this is what I said. I said, if you've got one group where you have to hold them accountable for each and everything that you do, and you try and do that, versus a group where people know what they're supposed to do and they want to go and do it, I go, which team is going to win? And he said, well, the group that wants to do it themselves. I go, that's what you need to do, is get them to want to do it themselves. Yeah, exactly. That's leadership.
Exactly.
The exact same thing you just described.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, look, if you get people to track everything they do, it takes them longer to track it than to do it. Plus, they hate it. They hate it because they're not being trusted, and it's the most terrible, dull administrative work. And it just kills people who are actually productive, because they're driven crazy by that. It's like, leave me the hell alone so I can do my work, and so, yeah, so there's something that, here's an interesting little fact that I think is really cool. I found this out, this is